Hello everyone, we are back for day 2 of advanced troubleshooting with the Bill.com money out clearing account. So yesterday I did a basic introduction video of some simple tools that you can use to reconcile various sync issues and recording issues with using the Bill.com money out clearing account when you have Bill.com connected to your accounting system. So what we generally look at when we look at financial statements closed at the end of the year is we have these balances. And if you take a look at your balance sheet, anytime you see a balance left over in Bill.com money out clearing account, it basically is saying that the financial statements are saying that that account has been overfunded for the bills that it has been charged to pay. Or underfunded. So depending on the balance, if it's a positive balance, then more money has gone into it than has come out to be paid. If it's a negative balance, then more money has come out of it to pay bills than has gone in to be funded. Either one of them is basically not correct. That account should be returning to zero, barring some minor differences in timing. So today I'm going to go through some advanced troubleshooting techniques and also some explanations, and one thing which is different between how Bill.com syncs to online platforms such as QuickBooks Online versus syncing to desktop platforms like QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Enterprise. So we'll go through some of those distinctions as well. So like we did yesterday, we're going to look at our balance sheet, we're going to see we have a balance there, and then we're going to go straight to our reconciliation tool. And we're going to reconcile this just like it's a regular bank account, except that it's a $0 balance and the ending date doesn't really matter. You just want to make sure that you pick a date into the future so that you get all the applicable transactions. We are not going to post any reconciliation discrepancies to this account, but what it does help us do is identify where we have some balance issues. So if you check on the right-hand side, just like a regular bank account, you go ahead and you clear your deposits into Bill.com and your payments. So the positive deposit is a funding event. That's money that's come out of the client's regular checking account to go fund one or multiple bills. So as long as they balance and your difference is zero, you are good to go. So here we have a funding event of $19,000. We're going to try and match that up to various bills. Generally, they're going to be on the same day. So we'll match this up to $77. Let's try this one, although I can tell already that that's going to be too much. So let's leave that one unchecked. These payments down here were all funded on the 11th as well. So Bill.com will pull out in one lump sum the total amount that it needs to pay those bills. And each bill should be posted, or bill payment, should be posted individually within QuickBooks so that it actually closes out the corresponding open payable from the vendor. So we have these checked. We have these two transactions which we know immediately are going to be problems. We'll come back to those. This funding event clears both of these bills, so that balances. These two funding events go to close out these three bills. And so on and so forth. So you do this until you can spot or identify the things that are not reconciling. Okay, so now we have a difference of $471. So we need to come back and look at this. Okay, so we see, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. So we can see. So we see we have a $471 difference. So we need to come back and look at this. We had a funding event for $5,072, and we only cleared these invoices on that day, 425, and I don't see any transactions around there. So we have a balance discrepancy with this particular date. So how do we resolve that? One tool that you have, if you go over to your Bill.com account, a very useful report, is you go to Reports, Transaction, or Funds Transfer Detail for bill payments. Okay, so you go to that, you pick your date that we're looking at. You can export it to HTML or PDF. I usually use PDF. And you spot that transaction. Okay, so this is it. Look, this is the actual transfer detail that was pulled from the bank. That matches this deposit that went into the Bill.com account. So now we have to find the missing transaction. So we have 1941. That's here. We have 1540.10. That's here. 400, 336. 400 is here. 336.34 is here. 74.95 is here. That one is here. And then we have this 298.80. That's multiple invoices. That sort of gives you a clue that you're going to have to do a little bit of adding here. With 298.80 are these two. $298.80 is here. So we've accounted for all of these. All of these are in this report. We are missing this transaction. So this, for whatever reason, either because of a syncing error, because it was voided accidentally, because it may have gone to a wrong account, we don't really know. But we do know that that needs to be replaced back into that Bill.com account because it was funded. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to post a journal entry to Advanced Network Solutions 4/17/2024 for 471. $417 Bill.com money out clearing to replace lost or missing transaction. Now what's the other side of this? Accounts payable. Accounts payable for Advanced Network Solutions. Now it looks to me, because this says it's on auto pay, that perhaps this got paid through auto pay and also paid, and maybe somebody went to delete the wrong one. Don't know at this point. All we're really looking to do right now is reconcile so that the Bill.com account accurately reflects what bills were paid and what were funded. We'll go back and match discrepancies in accounts payable as a follow-on step. Okay, so we've taken money out of the Bill.com clearing account. That's a credit to the Bill.com clearing account, and we have put money against the accounts payable for this vendor. So we go ahead and save that. Now we can go back to our reconciliation and we see it here. So we can clear it here. Okay, so now we're back to a $0 difference. We are good. So if we continue on, we have this funding event on 5/2. We have various bill payments all on 5/2, 5/2, 5/2. All of these clear. Okay, so we have this one and this one. Those clear. This one clears. 39.72. Now I definitely know I'm not going to pick this one because that's already a bill payment that's way more than what this is. So we're going to skip that for now. Okay, and I'm not going to pick this last one. So this last one looks like a bill payment that's coming out on the 31st. that's fine. It may just be a timing issue because today's not the 31st, so we're going to go ahead and leave any current transactions uncleared. Okay, so now we have transactions that are not cleared in here. So what's going on? One of these I researched already. So if you look at this 10/240/17 and you look at this 10/240/17, there's a credit here. Okay, so this is important to note because what will happen is, let me go ahead and edit this. Okay, so Bill.com will push in voids. So let's say a check goes out to a vendor and it floats around for several months, and for whatever reason it does not get cashed. They will void that check, and they will push that void. They'll go back to the original transaction in QuickBooks Online, and they will void that bill payment even if it's in a prior period. So you have to be cognizant of that. It will do that in QuickBooks Online. In QuickBooks Desktop, you will not see that transaction. You will actually have to manually post the voided bill payment in QuickBooks Desktop or Enterprise and put that back into payables. So for this purpose, what it looks like happened is that a bill payment went out, it got funded. I'm not going to save this right now. It originally got funded back here on April the 11th, but because the bill payment got voided, that's why we can't reconcile it. This funding event on 4/11 was used to pay a bill for this amount. It's not in the ledger anymore because it's been voided by Bill.com. Okay, so you can tell from this is complicated because you don't know who the vendor is. So one way to find it is you go back to this this funding transaction detail report for 4/11 and you look for this transaction. So let's go back to our Bill.com, and now we're going to look at funding transfer detail for the 4/11 date. And we're going to come down here and we're going to look at this, boom, right here, TeamLogic IT. There was a bill that was originally funded for 10/240/17. It was pulled and sent, but they have subsequently voided that transaction and put that money back into the client's bank account. Okay, so if I look at this vendor now, 10/270, I should see an open bill. Let's go to vendors. But without looking at the transaction detail, you really don't know who the vendor is. And without doing the bank reconciliation process, you really can't tell when the transaction was actually paid. So this reconciliation tool is really critically important for a number of troubleshooting techniques. Okay, so I have TeamLogic IT. Let's see. Open bills right here. Okay, so now I have an open bill for 10/240/17. Critically important to note here, the void on the bill payment will not be posted automatically for you if you are using QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Enterprise. You will need to go in and make a journal entry into your Bill.com account to reconcile this. So what that journal entry would look like if I was in QuickBooks Desktop, what the journal entry would look like would be this. Bill.com had money out clearing, had a debit, an increase of 10/240/17, okay, because of a voided check was returned. And then accounts payable is the corresponding transaction because you need to know who didn't get the check. So you would post that TeamLogic IT. Now, I don't have to do this because I'm using QuickBooks Online. Okay, but if I was using Desktop, I would have to go in and I would have to make this entry manually because it does not post voids. And we all know how often it is that something gets voided or lost in the mail. This is going to be a regular thing. Maybe 5-10% of the checks that go out. Hopefully it's not that much, but it's going to be something that you're going to need to do. Okay, so I'm going to close this because I don't need to do this in QuickBooks Online, but I do need to know who the vendor is that didn't get paid all of a sudden. Okay, so now if I go back to my reconciliation and continue my process, I can see now this 10/2/40/17 funding event does not go to clear an actual bill payment, because again that bill payment has been voided by Bill.com, but it can balance against way down here when Bill.com finally realized that the check wasn't going to be cashed and put the money back into the Bill.com account. Okay, so that's how that one will balance. So there may be some timing issues. That's completely fine, but I've just showed you where, a circumstance where something that happened earlier, a funding event, isn't going to be used or usable to clear an event until later. Okay, so now we still have one transaction up here. Okay, so we have this bill payment that's posted to this vendor. Now this is a totally different situation because there's no funding for that bill payment. So I'm suspecting right away that this is a duplicate bill payment. Okay, again, I can go back to, I don't have a funding report to look at because there's no funding here. So now I have to look at a different tool. So let's look at vendors, Pantera, and we look at their bills. And I only have one bill here, and it's been paid. So let's see what I have in QuickBooks. Okay, so let's go to Expenses, Vendors, Pantera. And look, I have two bills. I have a duplicate bill and a duplicate bill payment. So only one of them happened, but because I am going through the process of reconciling all my payments out, I am now able to see that I have a duplicate bill payment. If I had not done this process, there's really no way of catching this. I wouldn't say no way, but it's very difficult to catch this because the bank reconciliation will be correct. I repeat that, the banking reconciliation will be correct. And what happened in actual cash on the primary account, this money only came out once. It was used to pay a bill. We're fine. We also won't see this if we look at open accounts payable, because open accounts payable is going to show nothing due. Nothing's out of the ordinary, nothing's due. The consequence, however, of having duplicate bills and duplicate bill payments are twofold. In accounting, everything is always twofold. Number one, we've significantly overstated expense because we have a duplicate bill in here. So we've doubled the allowable expense for that particular category. The other consequence is exactly what we're looking at, is that if you look at the balance sheet for the Bill.com clearing account, we have a negative number, which again, going back to the beginning, means we have overpaid more bills, or at least we've recorded in our books that we have overpaid more bills than what we have funded. So there's a problem and needs to be resolved. So basically what we do is we go back to our Bill.com reconciliation, resume reconciling. We know this is the one that did not get paid. We edit it, and boom, we're going to delete it. Didn't happen, didn't get funded. It's an errant entry. We've got it out of the register now, and we can resume reconciling to zero. So now we've got our Bill.com account, which is a nice neat zero, except for current transactions, which we're not going to worry about now. And we will finish that. Again, we don't want to post any reconciliation discrepancies here. We want to resolve those discrepancies. We have one more thing to do. If we go back to our vendors tab, for that vendor, we know we have a duplicate bill. So we are going to delete the one that is unpaid, which is going to be this one. Okay. So this can happen for a variety of reasons. Somebody posts something manually, there's a glitch error, there's something that is posted in Bill.com twice. Vendor could send 2 different invoices because they voided one and we've already processed one. So any number of issues can cause this to happen. It's not really important to focus on what can cause it to happen, as it is to realize that there are a number of things that can happen that you can't find unless you go about balancing and reconciling your balance sheet accounts. So now if we look back at our reports, our balance sheet, we have a nice, clean, as of today, or April, the end of the month, a nice 0 amount in our ADP clearing. So that's really what we want. We want this as a clearing account for all payments made, all payments funded, and we need that to be 0 so that we have a clear understanding of the payables that are actually paid. So any questions, feel free to jot them below and I'll try my best to answer them. Thanks for watching.